Hi there, my name is Sabrina Uswak, and I will be reading an excerpt from my book, All the Night Gone, published by Stonehouse Publishing last fall, November of 2020. What a time. Thank you so much to Shelf Life for having me on their Writers at Home series and for championing books and local authors in general. And just a bit about the book before I read from it. It's a coming of age story set in Three Hills, Alberta, so not too far if you're Calgary based. And it's told from the perspective of Ben, who's about 15, and his life with his brother Charlie, who's just graduated, and they can't really seem to communicate. And at the heart of this sort of growing tension is the bruise of a tragedy that happened to the two of them. And the way that they process it is at risk of pulling them apart. And in the middle of this, of course, arrives in an unexplained, mysterious fashion a girl named Dill, whose car breaks down at the shop where Charlie works. And they take her in and help her out and say, you can stay as long as you want, just, no questions asked. And then, of course, they start to all become kind of a family, because what you can tell from the book is that there's this longing to belong or to find your home, or what family means, and not just family that's given to you, but that you find or that you invest in. And so together they start to form this bond. And one night, without explanation, she just takes off. And of course, this appends Ben and Charlie's life, and they're determined to bring her back. But of course, in their quest to do so, with very little instructions, of course, they've realized that there are deeper questions they should have been asking themselves, and maybe Dill, and so kind of have to address the tension when they go on this road trip. So it's a coming-of-age story, it's a family kind of saga, and it's also just about people loving each other or wanting to have support or find someone who cares for them without explanation, because so much in life you don't have the answers for. And Ben, who's quite young and very inquisitive, is starting to realize maybe he never asked the right questions, but can you ask the right questions? And will you get the answer you even want to hear, or the full answer, even if you do? So the first passage is the very beginning of the book, and then following soon right after, I'll read as the set of instructions that they were given from May, the only other person who kind of formed a bond with Dill. Okay. The 7 is nearly empty now. 3 a.m. sees only certain kind of traffic. By the time we've crossed into Saskatchewan, the sky is endless, the land table flat. There is only the semi heading east, gas sloshing in its giant containers. One other colorless car passes by in the descending dark, heading elsewhere. When the rain starts, sticking to the windows like glue beads, the radio is playing a song that soon will be that song. The one which compresses infinity in a single note, that will trigger a heavy sadness in my chest if I hear it later. The road is straight and disappears into a pinprick. It is silent but for the song. We've not said anything since passing Teo Lakes, a scattered silvered mirror. Charlie stopped jiggling his leg. I can see his knuckles, moonwhite on the stick shift. The truck's too small for him. So's Three Hills. Maybe that's why Dill left, being in a place too small, with the sky so big, hills that gleam in the hot, dry summer wind, endless to the horizon. An illusion of opportunity, Charlie said once. Dill hadn't said anything. We'd tumbled out of bed and she was gone. Room sparse. Her window was left open, always. Air curled, rippling through the sheer curtains, raised like dissolving flags. The sky was dusty blue, bleached with a smear of clouds. Charlie stood at the foot of her empty bed, jeans faded and ripped, t-shirt rolled over the crowns of his shoulder bones. Silent. I stayed in the doorway, hands at my sides as he lifted the bed by its end and tossed it against the wall. The wood cracked like summer thunder. She's got a wild laugh, Dill. Starts low and ends high. Sometimes it trills, sometimes it's silent. You have a range of laughter when it's been tested, she said. Dill likes fall and spring, transition seasons. In October and April, the days are mirages of 2 seasons, depending on which eye you close, she'd joke. When I told her I liked fall best because of all the color, she said, Don't fall and leaves smell like nostalgia for summer green, Ben? That's why fall feels familiar. It's a new phase with the memory of the old, like us. She'd looked out the window then. We were in May's cafe. I remember the smell of coffee, months ago now. She kept running her thumb over the handle of her mug. When fall comes, it's like the arrival of an old friend. It's been nearly 4 hours since we left home, over 12 since Dill took what was left of home with her. And now these are the instructions from May. You'll have to go far, May told us. Out of Alberta, definitely. Off the highway. Head north once you've gotten near to Saskatoon. There's a road that follows a river. Winter cold. You'll follow it too. It's probably full of all kinds of runoff, so don't you think of drinking it. And go careful, it isn't a paved road. People don't use it much. Watch for the reeds lining the river when it disappears from view. It will veer sharply, and the road will narrow into an even smaller one that's just twisting pebbled mud. I don't have to tell you to slow down. Soon enough it'll straighten out again. It is, after all, Saskatchewan. You'll pass a clump of trees, those lonely handfuls of green you sometimes see even on a bare plain. You'll come to the houses. There'll be a barbed wire fence, so you'll have to get out of the truck. There's no point in waiting for someone to open it because they won't. They'll have seen the dust trail behind your truck long before you see them. The houses are set on a hill, all 3 of them, sand brown, with fingers of smoke reaching out of dented chimney stumps. There's nothing dotting the land except for stones piled in clumps the shape of a man with his arms held out. There will be people there, not many, but enough. They won't look at you kindly, but at least you'll be met in the eyes. You can ask them about Dill. Maybe you'll learn something. Might be you'll just get up to those doors and lose your nerve. Or someone will herd you off before you've ducked under the fence. Maybe you'll realize that it's none of your business. Could be that you just think her name, and that it was enough to have gotten this far. Dill, who came one day and took off another, but left echoes of her laugh in the house and newer impressions of feet in the carpet, who found the covered tracks of Charlie's smile under his anger mask and laughed her laugh until he used them again, his mouth livening white, remembering how. Thank you.